Hi friends, my name's Jenna and this is Daniel. After we got married, we took off on a Mediterranean cruise. After a wonderful stop in Croatia, we crossed over to Italy to a world-renowned place called Venice and the lesser-known city of Lecce. Which do we like more? The answer might surprise you. Come travel with us. We started off by crossing the Adriatic Sea from Split to Venice, where we boarded a small boat that would take us to the Venice Cruise Terminal.
We're in Venice and we're at the Venice terminal, but they dropped us off with like little information about where the hell we're supposed to go. We're just at this terminal and the closest thing, which I have reservations for in like less than an hour, is a 45-minute walk. And there's water taxis, but there's like no way to get across the water to get to the water taxis, so I have no idea what we're doing. We're kind of irritated with the cruise line just because it hasn't been a great experience. Hopefully we get to where we're going before our reservation, so let's try.
If you're faced with a 45-minute walk or the water taxi, definitely take the walk because this was not a great experience whatsoever. It really cut into a lot of our time in Venice, but at least we tried to make the most of it by taking in the sights along the way. Just next to Rialto Bridge, which is one of the landmarks of Venice, is Fondaco de' Tedici, which I'm probably totally botching the name of, but this is just a really pretty mall, and up at the top is a gorgeous viewpoint of Venice that is completely free with a reservation. You cannot come to Italy without trying the pizza. This was the most delicious pizza I've ever had in my entire life. I'm so glad that we had time to do this. We then walked over to Piazza San Marco. It is a beautiful plaza. Unfortunately, we did not have time to explore much of it, but we still enjoyed it nonetheless. Our last stop in Venice was the Florian. This is supposedly the birthplace of coffee. So of course, as a coffee lover, I had to go. The inside is so gorgeous and there were so many different options, but wow, yeah, that coffee is so good.
Daddy is dying here. I love you.
Our time in Venice was overshadowed by stress, unfortunately, to the point where we were the last group on board the cruise ship before it left, even though we left Venice an hour and a half early.
We are on our way to another city in Italy, but let's do a whole rundown on what happened in Venice because I think if I was going to Venice outside of a cruise ship, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more. But with the cruise, I feel like it complicated things like a lot. We got to the terminal, it was just a long walk to get to the metro, and I was so confused by where we were supposed to go. Just to begin with, because I had no idea where we even were. We were in the middle of nowhere. And so we walked over this bridge. Google's telling me to go over here to get tickets for the water taxi because it was going to be like a 30 or 45-minute walk to get to where I had reservations for. And so we we go over there, the lady's like, no, you have to get on a train. So we go over to the train station. The train station doesn't even go into Venice, which I figured because Venice is made of waterways. So then we have to go over to get a water taxi ticket. The only tickets that they sell are per day, and it's 25 euros per person. There were so many people in line for the water bus. It said on Google that it's supposed to run every 5 minutes, but it took about 20 minutes to get one, and there were so many people with the fast pass that by the time the 20 minutes would come around, the fast pass line was full of people, and they would just let all the fast pass people in, and there would be no room for the regular line. And so it was just constantly waiting and waiting and waiting. And then we were finally getting into Venice around 11 a.m. The last boat was leaving at 2:30, and we just barely got into Venice at 11. We already figured out that the water buses take forever, so we were like, we literally have time to go eat, and then we have to go back. The most anxiety-riddling thing was that we left to come back to the ship pickup point at 1 o'clock. We left the Venice City Center at 1 o'clock thinking, oh, we'll have plenty of time to get there before 2:30. We get to the guy, he asks for our passports, we show him our passports, we walk fast. And then we see a little sign that says MSC boat. And so we go up to her, and I'm like, oh, are you picking up for the Sinfonia? And she says, yes, you'll have to wait for the bus. And I was like, oh, but the drop-off point is right there. Like, I can see it. Can we just walk to it? She said, no, you have to wait for the bus. Okay, so we wait, and it's 2:30, and there's still no bus. The bus comes, we get on the bus, and then the bus driver has a full-on conversation with this lady. He drives us around to the spot that I knew where we were supposed to go. It was literally right there. Drops us off there, and so we're walking upstairs, and then we walk downstairs, and then we walk out to a van that drives us back to the entrance of the terminal where we had literally been dropped off by the metro. And then they say, okay, we're going to drive you to the ship instead of take you on a boat. So we were the last ones. Well, not the last ones. The couple behind us was the last ones on the ship. But we were in the last group. It was a really short little taste of Venice. I wish we could have experienced more. I feel like my opinion would change on it, but overall, just from that little taste, I don't think Venice is worth getting off the ship for. It just hot, crowded, extremely expensive. It just wasn't worth getting it off the ship and going through all that extreme like pressure and anxiety. I don't think that Europe is meant to be cruised because there's a lot to see in each of these places. And it's hard to shove it all into a time pocket and then also be constrained by the cruise ship itself. So I don't know that I would cruise in Europe ever again.
The next day was at a much-deserved slower pace. I woke up with the sunrise to get myself a coffee. And then I went to the Master Chef show. I spent a lot of time admiring the ocean from one of the decks before meeting up with Daniel to spend some time together.
We have until 4 p.m. before we get to Lecce, which is our destination today. Watching Jurassic Park, and now we're gonna head out to we're gonna go play at the casino a little bit. Last time I won $30 at the roulette table, so I don't think I'll have the same luck, but we'll try. And I will update you guys when we get back.
We went up to the top deck to play some mini golf. We danced. We also played a bunch of card games that were in Italian. So we figured it out eventually. We found a Lego model of the ship that we were on, which was such a cool little activity to do together. And before we knew it, we landed in Brindisi.
Just arrived to Brindisi, I think is how you say it, and we're gonna go ahead and meet up our group so we can go to Lecce.
I'm not dying today. That was a statement, not a prediction.
Daniel can actually enjoy Italy.
I'm dead.
Your dad can actually enjoy Italy today.
Lecce is one of the producers of olive oil in the region of Puglia, and though it's quite out of the way, it is so worth a trip to the quiet little city. One of the coolest parts about Lecce is the stone that is used in their architecture. It's often called Lecce stone or marble of the poor and is made using sea mud. The color appears a beautiful cream during the day, and at sunset it turns into a vibrant yellow. Pay attention throughout the rest of the vlog to see it slowly change. While admiring this beautiful church, we actually got to see somebody get married, and it was just so fun being on our honeymoon. Oftentimes when I travel, it's funny how the lesser known places almost always end up being more enjoyable than the huge landmarks. Lecce has everything you'd expect of Italy: the food, the culture, the architecture and ruins, but a fraction of the crowds and tourist traps. Of course, we spent the rest of our free time going to get some of the local foods, as well as a quick stop for gelato. And of course, since this is the place where oil is made, we had to do an olive oil tasting. I think this might be forever the place that I get olive oil from for the rest of my life. And of course, after doing some touristy shopping, we had to return to the beautiful church to see what the stones looked like under the sunset, all while listening to the sparrows. Thanks for watching. Be sure to follow along for one more episode.